On today's show, we'll recap a perfect weekend for the Ottawa Senators, going 2-0 and vaulting themselves into the first wildcard position.
And it's an enormous week ahead. We'll look at all the games that the Ottawa Senators have on their schedule.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today is Monday, January 20th, and Pilsy, for a second weekend in a row, the Ottawa Senators are perfect.
Yeah, and this was one heck of a weekend, Ross. I mean, the Boston game was an absolute thriller, and then the game up against the New Jersey Devils, they have to find a way to battle through adversity and get the win, and they do. And both of these games, Ross, with two different goalies, something we haven't seen in quite a while.
And we'll get into that in the second segment as well with the goaltending. But Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators can beat you any which way. 6-5 at home against Boston in a shootout, come from behind win. They go up early, they give it away, they don't panic, and they scored twice in the final 3.5 minutes to tie this game, and Merrilainen was perfect in the shootout. Then the next day, it's an awful first period for everybody not named Anton Forsberg. He makes 16 saves in the first period, then grind it out. They get the goal, they give it right back up, but they stuck with it and got an Artem Zub game-winning goal. Just an unbelievable weekend, but one where you feel like you can build off of because you did it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and they had a cast of characters, that's what I meant to say, that chipped in. Like you mentioned, Artem Zub with the game winner. Zach Ostapchuk got his first NHL goal up against the New Jersey Devils in the game up against the Boston Bruins. You had so many different goal scorers. Tim Stützle getting the game winner in the shootout. And then, as you mentioned, Levy being perfect. Like, you have to find different ways to win if you're going to have success throughout a long season. And you have to have help from unexpected guys. And that's what the Ottawa Senators were able to do. And they keep getting these back-to-backs, Ross, but they don't use it as an excuse. And they're finding ways to win. It's awesome.
Another one next weekend, home to the Toronto Maple Leafs and home to the Utah Hockey Club. So even though it's their third straight weekend with back-to-back, it'll be the first time where they don't have to travel in between. They went home from Pittsburgh to play Dallas, and then they went from home against Boston to play New Jersey yesterday. We'll also get into the week ahead because, that next weekend's big. But two huge games starting tomorrow in New York, taking on the Rangers, and then in Boston on Thursday. That game will have some teeth in it after the extracurriculars, we'll say, that happened between a few Bruins and Senators players. But so much to like from this weekend. What is your biggest takeaway?
You know what? I'm gonna go and give some more credit to Anton Forsberg because I think everybody in the Sens Twitter sphere was very nervous that he was getting the start. I think, Ross, everybody came to realize, okay, we've been riding Levy really, really hard here. Like, we need to give him a break. It's a back-to-back. He already played back-to-back last weekend and played every single game since. Even though he's a young goalie, you need to give him a break. So Anton Forsberg's got to start that game up against New Jersey. And this is a guy that's been sitting on the bench watching a young 22-year-old basically steal his job with Ullmark out. The assumption is the veteran that's making $2.75 million is going to be your number one guy. And that's what Travis Green kind of laid out for us, right? Like, remember before the Detroit game, he said, we're going to give Forsberg a lot of starts here, get him in the rhythm of playing a lot because he's going to be the guy. And he plays Detroit, plays Buffalo, and those don't go his way. And they switch it up and go to Levy, and he has success. So for Forsberg to be able to put his ego aside, I'm assuming he's working hard in practice, trying to get back to the form that we all have seen him in past years, and then have the game, the first period that he had, 16 saves, and then able to keep his team in it and get them the 2-1 win, even though he didn't face a lot of shots for the rest of the game. I gotta give a lot of credit to Forsberg there, because that couldn't have been easy. And without him in that first period, they don't even sniff a point, let alone getting two.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And again, the goalie situation we'll get into more in the next segment. So I'll leave it at that for now there. Where I will go is the depth players for the Ottawa Senators stepping up. You already gave credit to Zach Ostapchuk for the goal that he scored. Well, how about Artem Zub getting a humongous goal in the third period there, feathering a shot through Nick Jensen, who I shouldn't even say he's not known for his offense. He's starting to climb up the ladder here in terms of his points. He's up to 18 now in scoring, but a goal and an assist. The goal was just so big in that situation. Adam Gaudette getting a huge goal to open the scoring against Boston. Was nice to see him continue after the goal against the Islanders. Like, they just had so many guys that made an impact. And I think if you had told an Ottawa Senators fan that Brady Tkachuk would have no points again this weekend. Now, it wasn't for a lack of trying. What do you have on Saturday? 8 shots on goal, I believe, 5 hits, dumped Vinny Lettieri into the bench. Yeah, or sorry, 5 shot. No, they haven't updated it for Sunday on Hockey Reference. He did have 8 shots on goal against the
5 hits,
Boston Bruins. Yeah, 5 hits. And what do you have then against, just a 1 shot against the New Jersey Devils then. But I thought he was all over it. And even though he doesn't get a point, that power play goal in the second period doesn't go in without all of the work that Brady does in front of the net, battling with Jeremy Swayman and making it tough. And I guess Norris got a stick on it. They changed the goal from Sandy to Norris. But I just think up and down the lineup, I can't find too many faults. And I can even give some stick taps to the coaching staff. In the third period against New Jersey. They completely switched the lines. They just put them in an absolute blender. We saw Giroux we saw Stützle centering Tkachuk and Giroux in the third period. We saw Matthew Highmore taking some shifts with Norris and Batherson. Like, we saw it all in that game. And for it to work, for all the pressing the right buttons, I don't know if you saw the video after the game, Pilsy, like, Travis Green has this team in the palm of his hand right now. Like, he's cracking jokes. He's still a serious tone, and revenge game for him too, getting the win against a team that decided, hey, an interim was enough of a stint for you. He says, nuh-uh, we'll just come into your barn and beat you up and down. So really, really happy for the team. And I think that this could be a jumping off point now with the Senators 5-0-1 in their last 6 games.
Well, and I think it's great too, Ross, because now they're getting the results that they want. I think earlier in the season, we had so many postcasts where we're like, oh man, it sucks they lost again, but like, they played a good game and the coaching staff has to be happy with how everything went within the game, but you just don't get the win. And now that they're still sticking to that game and they have new guys that have to step up. They have so many injuries and guys from Belleville playing all over the lineup, different goalies coming in. Like, you want that process and the message to stay the same as it has been all year. And it seems to me that it has. And now they're getting the results. And now it's like, okay, we see the vision. Like, we see what the coaching staff is getting us to work towards, because it's actually working and it's resulting in getting points. And we're in a wild card spot right now. So I think it's great that the coaching staff didn't really, panic and try to change things too much just because things weren't going the Sens' way. A couple losing streaks in there, and they're able to have this team totally buy in to what they're trying to do. So yeah, I think it's definitely worthy that Travis Green and the entire coaching staff gets credit here.
All right. Day off for the Ottawa Senators in New York City. They will be back to take on the Rangers tomorrow night. On the other side, Linus Ullmark is on the trip, but when should we expect him to return to action? That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Those green numbers are in your account right away. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has got you covered. This was an insane week in the NFL playoffs. A dropped 2-point conversion catch changes everything for the Ravens. The Washington Commanders upset the Detroit Lions, and you could have been on the action if you were at FanDuel. So go to FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Pilsy. So the Ottawa Senators, with 2 wins this weekend, improved their record to 24-18-4 on the year. That's 52 points. And right now, that is the first wild card spot. The Sens used a game in hand on a lot of teams with that Sunday win, just making those points even sweeter. Columbus with 51 points. Montreal and Boston with 50. And the New York Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers tied at 48. Well, the Detroit Red Wings have cooled off 2 losses this weekend. They're tied with Pittsburgh at 46. Still tight, but you'd rather be leading the race than right in the thick of it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to be in that top wildcard spot, Ross, even though you know there's teams nipping on your heel, and you may not be there for long if you're not able to string along more wins like the Sens have. But it's nice to not just be chasing a spot, not just to be barely in that second spot, but to be in that top spot. So I'll take it for now, Ross.
Absolutely will take it. The Senators also the best goal differential of any wild card team. Columbus at +1. Nobody else is in the plus territory. Now, we have 9 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Feels like a lot for a Monday. And don't ask me why, but we got a lot of U.S. games starting at 1 o'clock Eastern today.
I believe it's Martin Luther King Day.
There you go. Martin Luther King Day. The Boston Bruins are playing at 1 o'clock against the San Jose Sharks. We are all Sharks tonight.
The future is teal.
The future is teal, but the present must be teal as well.
Yes, yeah, true. Oh, man. I mean, hey, the Sharks have disappointed teams in the past. A little while ago, we were rooting for them against the Red Wings, and they got a huge win up against them, so they can do it.
Go Sharks. Get my Marty Havlat Sharks jersey out of the closet.
Danny Heatley, maybe?
Little Tom Pricing.
Erik Karlsson?
I've never seen a Tom Pricing jersey at a Sens game. I would
in the wild.
If you have a Tom Pricing Sens jersey, let us know.
Plus minus legend.
Definitely. Columbus Blue Jackets are visiting the New York Islanders, so we're rooting for some bad teams tonight, pal.
Yeah.
We're rooting for some downright awful teams, even the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight.
Who do they got?
Tampa. Sens are 1 point behind Tampa right now.
Yeah, it pains me to say, but I'll get on that train with you.
And also, if the Leafs win the division, they're more likely to play Ottawa in the first round.
Yeah, and I would much rather play the Leafs than the Lightning.
Or the Panthers.
Yeah, dude, I do not want to play the Panthers. Oh my God.
I do not want to play them either. Like, I would rather be in a wild card spot and play Toronto than finish top 3 in the division and play Florida. Easily.
Yeah, probably. Yes, actually, definitely.
But for standing's sake, it would be fun to be right, like within a point or two of Tampa for those back-to-back games in early February, where it's like whoever wins these games, you jump into that spot for now, and then we see from there once things keep rolling on. So we're rooting for San Jose in Boston. We're rooting for the Islanders at home to Columbus. It would be nice if the Lightning could lose to the Leafs. I know that's sacrilege to
let's frame it like that, Ross. It'd be nice if the Lightning could lose. I don't think on the Locked On Senators podcast we should be saying it the other way around. So let's word it like that. Phrasing is important here.
That's perfect. And those are the only two teams really in the wild card race. Oh, Pittsburgh, but get to 500.
Are they in the wild card race?
No. They're 19-21-8. They're in LA to take on the Kings tonight.
I feel like Pittsburgh is kind of in purgatory right now. You know, they're not in the basement hell, but they're not quite at the pearly gates either, trying to get in. They're right there in the middle, deciding whether they're going to go up or down. They
did get a goalie goal though, on Friday, which is pretty cool.
Nedeljkovic had an assist too. I believe it was the first time ever in a game that a goalie had a goal and an assist.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That was pretty cool. And he also, another stat, this is not Locked On Penguins, but he's the only goalie in NHL history to score a goal in the NHL, AHL, and the ECHL.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
I'd love to see a goalie goal for the Ottawa Senators one day. I know, trivia, have the Sens ever had a goalie goal?
This was a part of our Jeopardy, Ross, and they have. It's Damian Rhodes, but he did not shoot the puck. The other team scored on themselves, and he had a shutout in that game as well, didn't he? It was wasn't it a 1-0 game, and he got the shutout and the game winner?
It wouldn't be the game winner.
If it was a 1-0 game and he got the goal?
But how did he score? No,
was it a delayed penalty?
He was the first goalie to score a goal and get a shutout in the same game. Rhodes was the last Senator to touch a puck. The net was vacated during a delayed penalty.
Was it a 1-0 game, though?
I don't know. I'll have to do some digging. The LOFC stats department is hard at work.
That would be awesome. While you're looking at that, though, we could talk about goalie goals. Jeremy Swayman wanted to join his buddy Linus Ullmark for the goalie goal, but it ends up getting blocked. I'm not sure who blocked it there, Ross.
Probably Sanderson. Hey, we got to give some credit to Sanderson. That's something that we missed on the postcast on Saturday. This guy, he blocked two unbelievable opportunities at the empty net. It was a 3-on-1 at the center ice line, and he blocked the shot. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, do we get Sandy in the gear next game? For a -3, that was a pretty good game for Jake Sanderson, getting the assist and then those blocks. But yeah, Swayman tried to go for the goalie goal in the game up against the Sens this weekend, and it ended up kind of costing him because the Sens block it and keep it in the zone there. So it's fun to go for it, Ross, but it's high risk, high reward. Let's just say that.
The Ottawa Senators beat the New Jersey Devils 6-0 when Damian Rhodes scored a goal.
Oh, damn. Okay, so I was a little off there. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story, though, Ross.
But it was the 2-0 goal in the game. It was a first period goal. He's got to be the only goalie to score a goal.
Still could have been the game winner. It was close.
He's the only goalie, LSB Stats Department, asterisk, that scored a goal in the first period of a game.
Gotta be.
All goalie goals are third period empty net.
Yeah. Huh.
Speaking of vacated goals, do you remember when the Dallas Stars scored on their own net in Ottawa? It was a drop pass. Their goalie was pulled for the extra attacker on a delayed penalty, and the guy, I forget who it was, just drop passed it and nobody was there, and it slowly went into the net.
That happens. Wasn't that the first ever Utah Hockey Club goal? It was in the preseason. They scored on themselves in the empty net.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it was.
That is hilarious.
Preseason, so it doesn't officially go down as that, but yeah, that was brutal. And the Canucks have done that as well. It happens. You got to be careful.
Yeah, Yuri Hudler scored on himself in that game to give Ottawa a 2-0 lead in the first period. Chris Kelly was the closest guy to the puck, so he was credited with the goal.
Wait, so he didn't even touch it? He was closest to it?
I don't know. That's
crazy.
Yeah. Hey, good segment talking about the Sens goalie situation.
That's what we do. Well, let's get into it. I believe TSN 1200 put up a poll, Ross, maybe you can find it, asking when Ullmark, or I think they worded it differently than they should have. No surprise there. But I think they said once the Four Nations is over or whatever.
How will, all caps, how will the Sens goaltending play out after the 4 Nations.
But really, the poll should be when Linus Ullmark is healthy.
Yes.
How will the Ottawa Senators do it? But a lot of people said roll 3 goalies. At least when I voted, that was the most popular vote there.
Still is.
I'm not a fan of 3 goalies, Ross. I mean, it's something you can do short term, but long term, it's just a detriment to all 3 guys. And if you have 3 goalies, you don't have one, in my opinion. And you have to find a way to make a decision there, because it's not fair to goalies 2 and 3 that not only are they probably not getting in games very often, but even in practice, it's an absolute gong show for Justin Peters and them to try to figure things out to get everybody their reps. So for me, you got to make a decision on 2 goalies.
With that, though, you're first and foremost going to bring Linus Ullmark back for a couple of games first. I don't think that when Linus Ullmark is ready to play 1 game, you make a decision on the other goalie.
No, agreed. And that's why I said long-term, you can't roll with 3 goalies. Like, you can do it for a little bit while you're, judging where Linus Ullmark's health is at and maybe trying to kick the can down the road and making that decision. But like, if people think for the rest of the season you're going 3 goalies, no, that's just crazy.
Yeah. But like the optics of sending Levi Marilainen down would not be good.
Who said that's what they should do?
It's not. And another thing that the Senators can do is offer Anton Forsberg a 2-week conditioning stint in the AHL. He would have to agree to it. But if that's the case, then he could go down there for 2 weeks without requiring waivers. The Senators, I do not believe, will put Anton Forsberg on waivers.
Yeah, and that's interesting, Ross. I saw our guy Scoops, Bruce Garriock, tweeted that. That's interesting because, look, like, if you're Forsberg, you're on a one-way deal. Your money doesn't change. So, like, being sent down isn't the worst thing. It's more about, do you want to be sent down and remain with this franchise, or do you want to roll the dice and maybe you land somewhere else? Right? Like that would be what he's weighing his decision. Or it's more a fact like, hey, I'll play ball. I'll be a good soldier. I'll go down for 2 weeks. I'll dominate in Belleville, show them that I am a competent goalie and that I deserve to be an NHL backup at the very least. And then maybe he shows that he's really good in the AHL and he kind of forces them to bring him back up. Or God forbid, there's another injury and he gets placed into an opportunity to be sent back up as well. So it's an interesting dilemma that the Ottawa Senators find themselves in here, because let's reframe the conversation this way, Ross. If the Ottawa Senators decide not to go with the 2-week conditioning stint, or let's say Forsberg declines that, do we think he would be picked up on waivers?
Probably not, but I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance a team, Carolina comes to mind right now, where they have had kind of a carousel, and I know his name was attached to them before he played for them.
But I think Freddie Anderson's back, Ross, and they had Tokarski.
For how long?
Yeah, fair point. But they had Tokarski, and he did decent for them, Sens legend Dustin Tokarski. So I don't know if they would be that desperate to do it. And Ross, a $2.75 million price tag is not nothing.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think Steve Stamkos is risking it, because if they claim him, now all of a sudden you have Ullmark and Marilainen, and that's it.
Yeah, because Mads is injured, and even when Mads is healthy, you can't really rely on him in the NHL quite yet. And yeah, and that's the thing. It's a tricky situation. Like, I think a lot of Sens fans maybe just want to send Forsberg to the moon, but you do have to think a little further in the future. And the idea of Levy and Linus as the tandem is awesome, but Linus also has had multiple injuries this year. And yeah, let's say they waive Forsberg and someone claims him. Now it's just Levy on an island.
Unless you trust Malcolm Subban, because that would probably be the call to sign him to a 2-way deal. It's not going to happen. So I think that what you're probably going to see is Levy get a couple more games and go down. I don't agree with it, but I think that's the easy move, and they can call him up anytime.
Yeah, I think that is the play, Ross. I joked earlier that you're not going to send Levy down, but now kind of working through this conversation, I think you might have to do that just because it's risk-free. It's risk-free, and you can always bring him back up. So
you could even, if you want to get wild, you could call him up when Linus isn't going to start and start him over Forsey. If you want to get wild.
Yeah. I mean, now that
Belleville is barely on the road until March. Like, they're just chilling at home. They go to Toronto. They go to Utica.
And unfortunately, Ross, I was looking at the Belleville Senators in the standings.
Yeah, well, half their team's in Ottawa.
Exactly.
Did you see Ostapchuk's first goal? Clevin comes over to hug him. Martin Paolo comes over to hug him. Highmore comes over to hug him. I was like, you guys have done this before in Belleville.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, I'm not putting any blame on Belleville at all. They're placed in a tough situation, like they are pretty much every year. But unfortunately, I think we're not exactly sheltering and making decisions based on Belleville making the playoffs anymore.
No, I don't think so. But
not that any franchise really prioritizes that, but it is important to have your minor league team have playoff success for people, your players you're developing, and confidence and things like that. So,
and the fan base too, no doubt,
big time.
So, who should start in goal against the New York Rangers tomorrow? Then on Thursday against Boston, and the weekend, we'll have those conversations next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Select Quote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Stanley Cup Finals. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from Select Quote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. Select Quote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets Select Quote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents will tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That's selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Select Quote. They shop, you save.
All right, Philsy. So it is a day off for the Ottawa Senators. Well deserved after 4 points in the standings in just 22 hours. Wild weekend of traveling after a matinee, getting to New Jersey at 10 p.m., and then turning around and being on the ice for warm-up at 12:30 that afternoon. But now you can rest, recover. I'm sure they're staying in the same hotel in New York City that they did for the Devils game. And now you will have a great opportunity at the world's most famous arena, taking on the Rangers. The Rangers are soaring right now in the standings too, Pillsy. We'll do our full game day preview tomorrow, but they're starting to figure it out. They're in trade rumors with JT Miller now. And even though they're coming off an overtime loss against the Montreal Canadiens, they do have points in 7 straight games. They're 6-1-2 in their last 9.
Yeah, Ross, when they were sinking to the bottom of the Eastern Conference, I was not thinking that they would stay there. This team has too many top-end talented players to stay down like that, like Shesterkin, Fox, Panarin, like all over the board. They've got high-end talent, and I kind of expected them to make an appearance again. It's unfortunate that game up against the Montreal Canadiens went past regulation. A 3-point game either way was the worst result for the Ottawa Senators. But I think it's going to be a tough test, because this Rangers team, now that they can see the light and the wild card is back within their reach, only 3 points back now for the Rangers, they're going to be fighting hard, and they know they got to beat teams like Ottawa, and they're at home. So this is not going to be an easy game whatsoever.
So Levi Meralainen is coming off his worst start in the NHL. Still good. Still good. Still made a lot of good saves. The glove save in the first period. He was still good. The only goal that you want back is the fourth one.
Yeah,
a lot of backdoor tap-ins.
Yeah, the other goals I would say were mostly defensive lapses, and he didn't really have a chance on them.
That to say, he's played a lot of hockey. He's 22 years old. Anton Forsberg, you're trying to get into a rhythm of some sort, and he's coming off his best performance of the season. Maybe the shutouts, but other than that. Linus Ullmark's the wild card in all this, but I think he probably needs another couple days of practice. Who starts in goal at MSG?
I'm not starting Linus. I'll start with that. You guys know I'm very cautious with Linus Ullmark. I want to protect him because when he's healthy, he's amazing. When he's not, this team, I don't want to say struggles because they figured out ways to win, and that wouldn't be fair at all. But certainly, I think everyone can agree this team is in a better position when Linus Ullmark is healthy. So do not force him back too early or rush him. So Linus Ullmark, for me, up against the Rangers, is out. It's so tough, Ross, because I kind of want Levy to start all these games again, and then maybe you get Forsey starting up against the Utah Hockey Club on the 26th, but that might be too much.
He shut him out.
Yeah, true. Well, no, I mean for Levy, not the game up against Utah. I'm going Levy up against the Rangers tomorrow, Ross. I think for me I'm going to take this a one game at a time. I'm not going to try to crystal ball it and schedule who's starting where because you don't know Linus Ullmark's health. So for me, Levi Meralainen should start tomorrow's game.
All right. Part of me wants to give you a bit of an argument here just based on wanting to get Forsberg a bigger sample size to know what you have with him right now before Linus Ullmark comes back. But it's hard to go against the young kid who's come in and done everything you've asked him and more. He's already played in a number of tough buildings in the National Hockey League. So why not add MSG to that? I'm happy with either choice though, because of the way Forsberg played. I think if you're giving the vet a little bit of respect for what he did, he's the reason they got 2 points on Sunday. If they decide to go for him, go ahead. Now, the last time that Anton Forsberg played at MSG, he allowed 5 goals on 33 shots, and they lost 5-1. Now, that was at the end of the 2022 season, like one of the last games of the year. So it's just like, anyways, it's a long time ago. Levi Meralainen would be my choice if I'm the goalie coach, but I will understand if they go with Anton Forsberg.
Yeah. I think that is the right decision.
So when are you hoping for Linus Ullmark? Another revenge game in Boston on Thursday?
Yeah, and it's so hard to say, Ross, because we don't know anything.
If he's on the trip, that's the last game of the trip.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But we don't know. Like, a back can be 100% one day, and then you sleep funny or you tweak it, just stretching or something, and then you're back down to like 70% or whatever. Like, it's so hard to gauge where he's going to be at. For me, honestly, Ross, as long as Levy doesn't totally collapse, or let's say they do decide to go to Forsberg, as long as none of these guys have a collapse game, I would hold him out until the back-to-back and then get him in one of those back-to-back games. I don't see the point in rushing him unless you don't trust either one of those goalies, in my opinion.
And you trust both of them right now with the way Forsberg's coming off and the way that Levi Meralainen's played all season. So I'm fine with being patient, but the fact that he's on the trip makes me think we will see Linus Ullmark in Boston on Thursday night. That game's Saturday, Pilsy. Like, we will not be tweeting no matter whether the Sens go up 3-0 per se.
Yep.
Against the Leafs. Couldn't be us. Tweeting that over there at Habs Fan TV, doing victory laps after 20 minutes of hockey.
No,
I'm outrageous on Twitter at times, but I never victory lap before the midway point of the third period. And even then, like, You saw me when we were getting the Brady's better chance at the home opener. I was like, this is too early. It's too early.
And especially like the Brady's better chance at the home opener. Guys, it's the home opener and we're playing the Stanley Cup champion. It's like, I don't know if we have a lot of ground to stand on. I wasn't a fan of that either, Ross. But yeah, as fans of the Ottawa Senators, we know better than to boast about the way. We can get excited and boast about it, but to claim that a game is over and go over the top too early in a game, things can change quickly here. I mean, look at that Boston game is a perfect example, Ross. Like, it's a 2-0 start, you're feeling good about yourself, and then it's totally depleted, and Boston ends up with a 5-3 lead, and then they're probably feeling good about themselves, and the Sens push all the way back. Like, hockey is a flow. It's a flow game. It's not like football or baseball where you got to take your opportunities as they come. It can switch on any given shift.
Hockey's so awesome. And if you like hockey, I got good news for you. We got 4 Ottawa Senators games this week. Tomorrow at New York against the Rangers. Thursday at Boston against the Bruins. Saturday at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Sunday at 5 p.m. at home against the Utah Hockey Club. That means it's a 9-episode week here for LOSP. 9 episodes. Let's go. Yeah. Let's get after it. Let's have some fun. 3 stars of the weekend. Let's wrap up today's show with the 3 stars of the weekend. New segment alert off the top of my head. I asked your biggest takeaways, Pilsy, but your 3 stars of the weekend, maybe we can negotiate into making one list for the 2 of us. But my 3rd star, I've got guys. I'm thinking of Jake Sanderson. I mean, they don't get that win if he doesn't block those shots, gets his point shot through. That was a good play. I'd be looking at, guys like Nick Jensen who could be in that spot. Who are you thinking of for the 3rd star of the week?
Tim Stützle is my 3rd star of the week, Ross. He gets a goal and assist in the Boston game and scores the only goal in the shootout. And Ross, I don't know, have you seen that goal?
Yeah, I was going to put it up.
Yeah, you've seen it?
Well, I was going to put Tim Stützle as number 2 star of the weekend.
Okay, well, and we can negotiate about this, but for me, he's the 2nd star of the weekend.
3rd. He's my 2nd star.
Or 3rd star, sorry. You convinced me that quickly, Ross.
I know.
I'm easily swayed.
Great negotiating.
Yeah, you got me. And I thought he had a great game up against the Devils. Sure, it didn't result in any points, but I thought he was making chances. He was skating. Well, Martian didn't love his skating, but I thought he was skating well. He was looking like the Tim Stützle where, Ross, we joked about it the other day. He had so many plays where you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. But how did that not result in a goal? So for me, I got Tim Stützle number 3.
Okay. So my number 3 is going to be Nick Jensen.
Okay.
I thought that he was incredible in the Boston game. Sure, I didn't love the pinch in the New Jersey game that created the rush to get the goal in, but he scored the goal that mounted the comeback. So he's going to be in the mix there.
And Ross, that goal that he scored was right after he kind of lost his man in the Boston game. And then he's able to score to kind of negate that earlier mistake as well. So, yeah, I think that's
even the play. I know it was a nice bounce, but it was also a good pass where on the Gaudette goal, the first goal of the game, like it was a little tic-tac down low play and it went right off of Jensen right onto Gaudette's stick. So Nick Jensen's my number 3 star. Tim Stützle is my number 2 star. Are we on agreement for number 1? I don't think we are.
We might be. Spoiler alert, my 1 and 2 are goaltenders.
Oh, I thought, right. Timmy's your 3rd star. So we're not, because I wanted guys who played both games. Number 1 star for me then will be Josh Norris. You guys scored the game tying goal, had another one in the game. Josh Norris was engaged physically this weekend as well. 3 shots, Pillsy, 2 goals. But what I love is he had 4 hits this weekend as well. I just loved his game. I thought he was winning faceoffs. He was doing it all. So Josh Norris, my number 1 star of the weekend.
Okay. For me, my number 2 star is Levi Merlainen. I know it wasn't his best game up against Boston, but like you mentioned, he made a couple huge saves. That glove save, I forget who it was on, Ross, but it was very similar to Forsey's glove save in Detroit.
I think it was on Zaka.
Okay, Zaka. Yeah, so that was huge. And we already talked about the goal. Most of the goals Levi Merlainen allowed in Boston were of no fault of his and just defensive lapses that he had no chance on. And Ross, how do you get the 2 points in Boston? You have to be perfect, 3 for 3 in the shootout. Like if he's not perfect in the shootout, and as soon as that game went to shootout, Ross, I was running to FanDuel.com to live bet them because I had the utmost confidence they were going to win that game. So without Levy, I don't think you get the 2 points there. I think maybe you can end up getting 1 point, but I think he secured the 2 points in my opinion. And then without Anton Forsberg, you don't get any points in New Jersey. Being outshot 16-2 in the first period by one of the top teams in the East on the road when you've had a crappy travel day is pretty huge. So Anton Forsberg is my number 1 star because we were looking at that New Jersey game, Ross, being like, it'd be nice to be in the mix for that game, but we're not sure how this is going to go here. And he ends up stealing it for them. So my stars, Anton Forsberg 1, Levi Merlainen 2, Tim Stützle 3.
Goalie friendly show, but
Yes,
I'm sticking with the offensive players. Josh Norris 1, Tim Stützle 2, and Nick Jensen at number 3. Give G some credit too, man. 2 primary apples in the game Saturday, including a perfectly feathered pass to Norris for that game.
The timing of that pass was everything, Ross, because he was at the half wall. He was looking around. He was waiting, and he sees Norris there. Norris gets to stick up a little, and if Giroux sends that pass a second later or earlier, it gets broken up. And so, well done.
It was perfect. He's now got 11 points in 11 games that begin before 7 p.m. local time. Let the old man eat early. The early bird special. Giroux sitting down and getting his plate full of apples. Exactly.
Nice.
Bills, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me, Ross. We already kind of talked about Belleville. There was a funny thing over the weekend. This has a Sens abroad, so it is appropriate. The American Hockey League Sunday AHL 3 stars of the night were all 3 goalies: Dylan Garland, Matt Murray, and Matt Murray. That's got to be the first time ever that 2 guys with the same name have been stars of the night. Matt Murray with the Milwaukee Admirals, and then of course Sens abroad Matt Murray with the Toronto Marlies. So just weird that there's 2 Matt Murrays and they both get shine on the same day. So I thought that was funny.
That is fun. Great lighthearted way to end a goalie-friendly show. For today, we say goodbye. Thank you for watching, listening, and engaging with the show. We will be back tomorrow for a game day preview. In the meantime, you can follow us at Sens Central on Twitter. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.